All right. Greetings, superb people. This is Lanita Superb here on day number 5 of the Superb Spring Cleanse event, which is also day number 4 of my water fast. And I have to say, I am feeling much better today than I was yesterday, considering that was the point where all of the toxins and things were doing most of the movement and such about in the body. So right now I just passed the 72-hour mark last night. Actually, is when I got a really good burst of energy. So I'm really excited to share with you how this works with fasting and your energy. So like I said, this is about the, I think maybe eighth time or ninth time I've done an actual fast with my cleanse. Usually I do about 72 hours and then I go into just eating liquids or really healthy meals for the next few days. And this time I decided to do 14 days because I was reading some information specifically from the Earther Academy and about terrain modification. And there were a lot of people that went to the retreat there in Hawaii, and they had really great results with doing even a 21-day cleanse, let alone a 14-day cleanse. But originally, I had only planned to do a 72-hour cleanse, and after I revised and came across this information, I decided to bump it up to 14 from 3 days. And I'm really excited. Like, I got 10 more days to go. And as you can see, this will be a video um, notation of the transition. So because I'll be doing a recording every day, you'll get to see how I change through this whole process going from day one, which actually before day one when I was still eating, because I had the last thing I had to eat was a grapefruit on Sunday, which was the first day of the spring cleanse event. And you'll see, I guess you'll see me change over time, and it'll be interesting. So let me go on and get to the next, excuse me, to the point here. Also, I have to note that I was drinking filtered well water the first 3 days, and yesterday I decided to do a steam boil with my water, and so now I'm kind of consuming distilled water. I don't have the device to check the mineralization to see if the water is completely neutral or zero. But I can feel the difference yesterday after I started consuming the boiled steamed water from the filtered well water. Because the point with that is to get the water up to a temperature where it would pretty much, I guess you could say, kill off the minerals and things inside, but I'm not sure specifically what the wording is on it. But that was my idea until I'm able to get an actual distiller or a machine or something, a distiller to take care of that. So that's what I'm working with, and I have to say, since I started drinking it last night, I did notice that my sinuses have started to drain on their own. So forgive me if you see me with the tissue every once in a while, but I am detoxing, so that's what it is. All right, keep that there as a good reminder. So I'm gonna go on over to the information for today, which is day 5 of the intro basics, or number 5 of the intro basics. And basically, number 5 intro basic is focus on your focus. Sounds kind of silly, but makes sense when I get to explaining that here. Focus on your focus. So As I've said before, the intro basics are just the introduction to the Superb Lifestyle Transition course. It's not the actual course. When you get into the course itself, it will be a little more in depth, and it's actually set up in segments of four, and it ends up being 4 weeks, 4 months, and each 4 weeks, excuse me, every 4 weeks is going to be a focus, a different focus. The full course is actually 16 weeks long, and it starts with you initially getting yourself a notebook and keeping a journal for 7 days. And I really haven't mentioned much about that, but I'm not even going to offer or give you access to the remaining part of the course until you have actually gotten your 7 days written down in a journal of, your tasks and habits and activities each day. So you'll still have access to the course, but you won't actually get the information for it until you've done that. And there's a reason why I've done that, because I've learned from my own interactions and observations with some of my clients is that was always my first thing to point out to people is, hey, you need to spend some time each day and write down this information, because without it, the rest of the course is obsolete. So I made an emphasis on that, and maybe a couple of people did it for about a few days, and then they fell off. And so I continued to assist them with the herbs, but then it came back the next week, they didn't do any stuff in the notebook. And so it's like, okay, well, just like a doctor, if I don't have information about what's going on, I'm not going to be able to offer you any sort of an analysis of how you can aid yourself with getting rid of whatever it is you're dealing with. So it's pointless. So yes, if you don't have a notebook, or if you can't go buy one, buy the Now notebook. That way you get the course with the book. There's no excuses. It's actually quite simple and quite easy. You just carry the book with you and write some stuff down when you need to throughout the day. It's really not that difficult. But what it proves to me, if you do not do this, it just proves that you don't care. You don't care enough about what you had contracted with me. If you said, hey, I want you to help me, and then we say, okay, and I tell you the rules, and then you don't follow them, it's a breach of contract. It's either you do what's required or it's not going to work. Excuse me. So that's what's going on with that. So like I was saying with the intro basics, this is offered for free because I want people to be aware of how serious this is, how in depth this is going to go, and what's surrounded around the idea of doing a transition and what you're going to be focusing on. So that takes us into focus on your focus. So ultimately your focus is you. If you're not keeping a journal, if you're not writing down the details that are required, you're obviously not focusing on you. You're paying attention to everything else still. So it doesn't do me or you any good, because it's basically you're wasting the energy, and it can be done a different way if you would just focus or focus. So one of the things here is I'm going to explain on how you focus on your focus. And one of the main ways is basically what I said. You get a notebook or a journal, a diary, whatever you want to call it, and you write down what you do every day. You are your focus. That's it. That's the whole point of this transitions course, is for you to focus on you. And if you're not keeping the notes, then you're obviously not focusing on you, because that's very important for you to focus on you and for you to keep a journal and write down the details about the information and everything, because that's how you're going to get to the next step. And the only reason most people don't do this is because they've never done it before. So they're not aware of how beneficial or the results that they're going to get from doing this. Back when we were, I guess, in high school or elementary school, the teachers made us write a journal. Well, that was kind of a good start, but a part of the course, when you get around to it, is that you need to go back at some point and review what you wrote in the journal. That is when the magic happens. Like I said a couple of days ago, you're going to notice a pattern. And when you do notice this pattern, that's what is going to actually aid you with the transition itself. That's what's going to help you get to determine which type of cleanses you need to do, and what you need to eliminate from your diet or your lifestyle. That's the whole point. So it's all null and void if you don't keep the journal, if you don't write the notes. That's the whole point to this. I've got a whole notebook here full of notes. So I go back and read it about once a week or once every 2 weeks. I go back and see, what did I say I was going to do? And then that's how I stay focused on my focus. Because part of it too, once you get to a certain level in the course and your transition itself, you will actually be making a plan and then writing down goals that you need to achieve. And because most of the time, the reason why a lot of people don't achieve certain goals or even their own goals or any goal other than what someone else tells them to do is because they don't keep track of it. They're not writing it down. They're not being accountable to themselves. So ultimately, this journal and the writing in the book and the notes, it's not for me, it's for you. So that's why it's very important for people to do this first step. And that's why I'm not going to allow the access to the duration of the journal or the course, because it's not going to be beneficial to you. You won't be able to move forward without that information. That's it. So that is basically the explanation of how you keep your focus on your focus. Is you need to get the journal and the notebook, and you need to write down what you're doing every day, what you eat, where you go, how you feel, pretty much just anything that comes to mind. Even if you have an idea about a new quote unquote job or career choice that you want to make, write that in there. And then later, when you're reading through it and doing your analysis, you can elaborate further on it and say, yeah, why did I write that down? Why would that interest me? And then of course you can then move forward and go do some research on whatever that is and see if it actually fits, if it makes you happy, does it make you feel better? Would it be something you can spend your lifestyle doing or your lifetime doing, or just whatever you do all day? Like with me in the gardening, I do enjoy being out in the garden. I love growing the plants and the herbs. It's a lot of fun. I get to have the sunlight shining on me, the air blowing, and I get to make my own schedule. I do whatever I need to do, what needs to be done, and then I continue with growing by researching. And when I have an issue, I'm able to deal with it because there's no one else out here to help me but me, so I got to do it, or else the plants won't grow. I have to be able to provide them with the proper environment so that they can grow. That's the whole point behind all this. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy offering the plants and the herbs. Here's some little, got right here next to me, little mother of millions, mother of thousands actually. And I have these available at the farmer's market too. And these actually came from a mother plant. And then I've been vending those at the farmer's market. So if you're at the farmer's market, you can get some of those from me directly. And they do have medicinal purposes, or you can just keep them as an ornamental. Let me show you this here. A couple months back, I decided to, you could probably see it on my Instagram post. I took a picture of this. It was a lot smaller. And I put the one of the plants inside of this light bulb. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see that. And this is how much it's grown. Of course, it's not going to get much bigger than this, because that's how big it is, and it doesn't have any more soil to really grow. But it's doing really well in there. It's a succulent, so it doesn't need a lot of soil or water. And I've got a piece of a loofah gourd right there in the opening to kind of help keep some of the moisture in. But if I was to burst the glass and take it out, it would just grow to normal size depending on what pot I put it in. But as you can see, it's got a couple of little plantlets on here for its propagation for growing, because this plant no longer is capable of producing seed. So that's how you get little babies from it. And that's how I got those other babies. I took them off of the mother plant, just like that, off the end of the leaflet. And then I put them in the soil, and then they grow roots and they get bigger. So when I first did this, I was not sure where I was going with it. I just thought of the idea. But anyway, I kind of went off a little bit there with what's going on. So, like I said, my focus is the plants and being able to provide them the environment. That's where I went with that, was the main point. For me, being able to provide them the environment that they need so that they can grow. So, yeah. All right. Now, the next part of the focus on your focus is, keep in mind that it's either going to be your choice or it's going to be a random action. And that's a big part with focus. And that's usually probably why, my clients in the past, why they were not able to, what's the word? Well, they were not able to actually complete the 7 days of journaling, because instead of them making a choice and taking action, they decided to let some other random act of action take over, which is pretty much how most people got into their own lifestyle situation at the moment. They didn't put a choice into their action. They just allowed it to randomly happen, because for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter. But when you do that, you're not focusing on your focus. Why? Because it's just a random act. Now, of course, if your focus is to just let random things happen, then that would be different. But at this point, because you are working on the process of transitioning your lifestyle to optimum health, it would probably make sense for you to make a choice and then take action with it. So, for instance, like with me and doing these videos, I initially had been doing the spring cleanse every year just on my own. And the last 2 years, I thought about, I guess, kind of doing videos, doing a live stream, or even just doing a video to share with people what I was doing. And then ultimately what would happen is I would come down to the last 2 weeks before the cleanse, and I was just like, oh, this isn't going to work. So that was me not focusing on my focus. But this year, I actually made a commitment, and I decided 3 months ago, back in December, that this year I'm going to do a live stream with this spring cleanse event. And then I went through the motions, and I kept checking back in my journal to make sure I was on point, to remind me about what I said I was going to do. I probably could go back a couple months and read when I initially was making notes of it, but that would be too much for me to go through right now. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find. Have to go back quite a ways, because there's January. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, but because I've been working on this for a few years, it's possible I really didn't put any information in here. I just knew that was what I was going to do. But at the same time, that's still me focusing on my focus. Because at some point, once I finally made that post on the website stating that I was going to do a SupHerb spring cleanse event and then post the date, I kind of had to do it. So all those other 2 years when I did this, I didn't actually make that type of a commitment by posting, the information. I didn't really even tell anybody I was doing the cleanse. I just did my own research, and when I was ready, I did the cleanse. I told my house members and my family who I was living with at the time, but I didn't tell anyone else. So um, that was actually part of, I guess, my own transition. I'm trying to see here if I did actually. I'm sure I did write about it at some point. See here. Yeah, it's got a lot of my. I actually keep track of what I do every day, and basically, I may have mentioned it the other day. Here's another thing that you can utilize for your keeping focus with your focus, especially with the journal. Let me make sure I'm not jumping ahead here. Okay, yeah, this could work with the next section. So the next part is about details about the on point methodology. And I'm getting this information from my post that's on my website that speaks about, or that shows you the 9 intro basics. So if you go to the home page and scroll down, you will see the 9 intro basics. And then with number 5, focus on your focus, I talk about how to stay on point with your methodology, which is your focus. So one of the things, I may have mentioned it before, that I do to keep track and stay on point with my methodology is that I have what's called an AM groom ritual. And I shorten it just to AM groom rit, which is basically AM for when I wake up, groom, basically how I'm going to groom myself, and then rit or ritual, which is pretty much what I do every day. That's my AM groom rit. So every moment upon awakening, I go through this process, and then I write it in a journal. So just to give you a let's see if I can show you so you can see it there. You might be able to see it. See this little section right here? I kind of have written out. So what I said is I write AM groom writ, and then I put a colon, and then I put, usually I will abbreviate it just because it takes up less space. So on this particular day, I first woke up with gratification and gratitude, and then I reflected about my astral quest, my dream. And then, of course, I put UR, which means urine, so I went to the bathroom. Then I have scrape and brush, which is I use my tongue scraper, brush my teeth, wash my face and clean up, all that detail there. And then I have attire, which I've now changed to just saying clothes. So that means I've changed or put on my clothes. And then I tended to the plants because I've been growing plants from seed. So I tend to the plants next, and then I go out to the greenhouse or maybe inside. I didn't specify that, but I did yoga, and then I did a little qigong, and then I write, which is at that very moment probably what I was doing. But then sometimes also I will put the next couple of steps to complete what I'm doing for my AM groom writ. And in this case, I put H2O because obviously after I do yoga and qigong, I usually have some water. And then I go to attire. Most of the time, I do my yoga and qigong and stuff in a different set of clothing, so I change out of those. And then I moved into the greenhouse, which I abbreviate here as GRNHSC, is greenhouse. And then I put run, so I have a running path around the property that I utilize, obviously when it's warmer out, but when it's cold too. So I went for a run. So that's what I did that day, and that was on November 8th, actually. So that's what I did that day. And let's see. So that's another way that you can utilize your journal or your notebook. And if you don't have time to write everything all day, you can at least write that much, what you did in the AM hours, before, let's say before you went to work, because if some people, like if you have to go to work in the evening or the afternoon, you sometimes have time in that space. And I'm speaking from my own experience. I used to be one of those people where I would just watch television instead of doing something else because, it's the only time you kind of have to relax, so to speak. And since you're going to be at work for the next 8 hours or 10 hours because of driving and you got to be there early to check in and all the other stuff, you really don't want to do too much. So instead of you using that time to work on yourself, to groom yourself, you just sit behind the television and allow yourself to be programmed. Which is, like I said, that's how I ended up getting to my overweight situation of 148 pounds a few years back, because that's the type of lifestyle I was living. I was like, oh, I'm giving all my energy. I didn't know that at the time. I'm giving all my energy to this corporation for work. And so I didn't really spend much time on grooming myself, which I do completely the opposite. And I don't really deal with the corporation now. And I've noticed a big transformation on how my energy is, where my thought process is, my mindset, and then of course my focus, which is me. So by not spending 8 to 10 hours, sometimes 12 hours if you have to do overtime each day working for a corporation, your lifestyle completely changes. And like I said, that's the purpose of the Superb Lifestyle Transition course. Now, I'm not telling you that you have to do what I do and have a garden and everything, but the purpose of the course is for you to figure out what you want to do, which, of course, if you don't keep your journal notes, you're never going to figure that out. So it's not about me telling you what to do. It's about me aiding you with the process of going through this transition, right? So let's see if I can get some more details about, I guess basically that's pretty much it about staying on point with your methodology, because once you've determined, now, like I said, the only way you're going to be able to determine what it is you're doing is first you have to do what? Number one, you got to go back and make sure you're listening to people who are actually going to aid you with your process, people who have actually done what they're talking about. I mean, people who just talk hearsay for so, well, I heard so-and-so did this or so-and-so told me they did that. No, I mean an actual person who actually did it, like myself, going through the fast right now. Cleansing. I've done not several cleanses, but I've done quite a few to be able to assist people with the beginning steps, the start. And that's actually what it is I want to do, because I'm not that advanced yet. I'm not a master at cleansing, but I'm a master at starting to cleanse, because I fell off the wagon a couple times and I had to start all over again. And every time I start all over again, it's pretty much the same process. But what I was missing before was the vital piece of information that I've learned recently, and that's about the fact that when you fall off the wagon, you pretty much wasted all your energy before, so it was kind of null and void. And I don't want to have to go through this every time. I don't want to have to deal with the extreme lethargic body conditions every time I do a fast or a cleanse. Because, yeah, that's what you have to work through. But after you go through it the first few times, your system should be cleansed enough where you don't actually have those side effects that are so extreme. And that's the part that most people don't get. When you begin to do cleansing and clearing out your body and stuff, it will get easier every time, but you have to stay on point. You can't go backwards. And I'm telling you that because I did it. I went through the whole situation with the meat and stopped eating meat. And then, of course, I was not fully aware that, the dangers with eating meat with the parasites. And the main purpose of cleansing is to get those parasites out of your system. And then for you to be finished with the cleanse and to go back and start eating meat again is just it's just contradictory. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. You've just wasted your time now, doing this cleanse and the fast, and then you go ahead and put the stuff back into your system. So now that I'm fully aware of it, no, I'm never going to eat flesh again. Don't ask me. Don't offer it to me. And if someone's an evil person and actually decides to trick me and give me some flesh, it's not going to be good on your part. And I don't have to be the one to do anything about it. I'm not going to need to. The universal energies will take care of that for me. So just keep that in mind, people. The purpose of staying on point is for you to stay on point. So, and I mentioned that because there was some places I had been, and I specifically mentioned that, I didn't want to have, anything that's touched the lard. Lard is pig fat. So I didn't want to consume that. And then, of course, I found out later that where I was at a community where people, community cooking, and I found out that, I had been exposed to it after I had mentioned I didn't want to be. And so that proved to me who I can trust and who I couldn't trust. Because if someone's telling you that, like for instance, if someone's allergic to peanuts, oh, I don't want to eat peanuts because I'm allergic to them, and you go ahead and give them peanuts, that's not cool. So it also deals with your integrity. Why would you do that to someone? They said they don't want that, and then you go ahead and decide to do it anyway. So it's not cool. Not at all. But anyway, the on-point methodology is obviously about you, and that's another reason why I've been so strict and disciplined with my own plans and actions, because I'm aware of the damage that these things can do to your system if you're not paying attention. So that's the main thing with it, is you have to be paying attention. Pay attention, as I say. Pay yourself first. Watch what's going on. And then once I realized that that was going on with the lard, I no longer allowed anyone else really to cook food for me. I just kind of took a stand and was like, no, that's not going to happen anymore. So I think that's going to pretty much cover it. I'll go over it again. So this is intro basic number 5, focus on your focus. And I just explained to you how to keep focus on your focus, which is basically keeping your journal notes and writing all your information about your habits and actions and activities and feelings and what you eat and what you don't eat and where you go and where you go every day. You don't have to keep details of all of them, but it's for you to decide which details are the most important for you to actually focus on. So that's what it comes down to there. And then, of course, that's obviously because it's your choice. You're making that choice as opposed to just letting it be a random action. And then that is basically the details about how you stay on point with your methodology. Because once you've got that in your head that you're going to do this for you because you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're done, excuse me, you're done with getting the BS from the corporations and other people who've got their ulterior motives about what a diet is or what cleansing is or fitness or exercise. When you take your power back and allow yourself to actually be in control of what you are doing for yourself, your body, how to take care of your own temple, that is your commitment to the actual superb lifestyle transition. This is for you to become superb. Not that I've become superb. I know what I'm doing and where I'm going, and I've got a plan for 7 years out to lead me to where I want to be. And so far it's going. So that is the purpose of the focus on your focus. Those are the detailed explanation steps in between, at least what I can offer you at the moment. And definitely look into getting the Now Notebook so you can start your superb lifestyle transition. And as I said, the basics of it is just kind of just keeping your focus. And then it helps to have a being to assist you with this process. I really didn't have, okay, I'm not going to say I didn't. I watched a lot of Secret Energy, so I guess I had some information from Seven Bomar. And then I also was into the law of attraction and doing things naturally. So from Natural Cures, I got information from Kevin Trudeau. And then there's also a few other sources, which I haven't gotten into, about the different diet types as well, such as the blood type diet and the mucusless diet and things like that. So, and also the pH of the body. But, oh, and of course, Ayurveda, which is like the main point to all this. But when I put all those things together, I didn't actually have a mentor or one being that was assisting me. I was utilizing multiple sources because they actually worked. What I was reading and the examples I was given actually worked for me when I used them on myself. So that's why I mention those people. That's why I follow those people. And that's why I utilize those methods that I mentioned, because they actually worked for me. Now, it may be a little different for you, but like I said, the purpose of the course is to aid you with figuring out what is going to work best for you. So that is it for now. This is Lenita Superb with number 5, Intro Basic, Focus on Your Focus. You can find more information about me on the superbblends.com website. That's SupHerblendz, Superb Blends. You just add the H in the herb for superb. And you can also find me on Instagram, as well as, of course, here on YouTube as Lenita Superb. Instagram is Superb Blends. And then I will also be working with Streamlabs as Lenita Superb. And I should be looking forward to getting some SoundCloud podcasts out, which will also be connected to the website. And there'll be a lot more details going on. So I'm doing my best to keep track of this cleanse and basically the 14-day fast. And as I said, you will get to see me transform over these days, because I will be doing a video probably every day from now on. I'm doing my best to make a commitment to share with the superb people, because I'm done with watching the industries of destruction, just take advantage of people's ignorance and continue to scare them to death just so that they can make money off of them. And that's what the whole industry has been doing. So I see a lot of it going on with my friends and families. People are getting surgeries and things like that, and all kinds of treatments and medications, and then they end up getting worse. So I'm sharing with you a natural course, the Superb Lifestyle Transition course, and all of the resources that I have utilized for myself to go through this transition, so that you too can be aware and actually see and know that there is proof that it can be done. So just keep in mind, I was in a corporate job. I did work a 9 to 5. And it was just over less than 10 years ago, even about 8 years ago. So it can be done. It doesn't take that long. I just happen to be doing what I'm doing because that's what I wanted to do. But it can be done in a quicker time span if you want it to be. But you gotta do the work. You gotta make the commitment to yourself and focus on your focus, which is you. So just to reiterate, I do have gloves on because I've been washing my hands quite a bit because out in the greenhouse and handling the plants and things and such. So, and also with this cleanse, because I'm getting the stuff out of my system, I'm also working on ways to better my own knowledge about staying hydrated properly so that I can repair my skin. And until I'm fully through this transition, this is my solution. So that's what that's all about. But anyway, I thank you for watching the fifth Superb Intro Basic and watching Lenita Superb. And I hope you will stay tuned and see all the other days with the information that I have to provide and share for you. So once again, this is Lenita Superb. My website is superblends.com, SupHerblendz.com. And I look forward to you joining me in this movement of healing self and thus healing the community and also healing the earth. Much appreciation. As I say, a rose in perfection shines bright.